Hello, welcome to Yurt Time with Coconut Kurt. I'm your host, Coconut Kurt. This is kind of a brainstorming video, something that I'm mulling on. It's actually also an advertisement and a direct offer towards what I'm doing to whatever degree that you would like to do it. So I think I've decided, and my life seems to have arranged itself such that I have the opportunity to teach or share kind of what I've been doing at a professional level. And so that's going to look like just coaching, teaching, demonstrating, bringing awareness to, shining a light in the darkness, so to speak. So just going to be teaching that stuff, which I'll explain in this video exactly. So like, what are you teaching? Like, why are you teaching? Because I've kind of been in a relatively focused, isolated, antisocial kind of hermit mode, of which recently sort of cracked out of. And in that time, like very, very intense focus, studying on a lot of different things, contemplation on a lot of different things. And this comes at the end of a lifetime of intense physical and mental discipline, like training and studying, like nearly everything. So I've created a synthesis, which I'll explain in a minute, but I want to share that. So I guess I'm offering methods of teaching, if interested. So one would be online. And so for all of this stuff, like the teaching that I'm doing, like what I'm doing, what I'm giving, is not propositional. It's entirely relational, which isn't as magical as people make it out to be, but it's absolutely essential. And so it's not information, it's interaction. So I have to have enough time to be able to mentally track you, know who you are, and work with you in various ways, like actually press into you, and you'll be able to basically see and pick up and have everything that I have, to the degree that you can kind of like feel into that interaction, right? So I'll coach you into that sensitivity of being able to feel out that way, simultaneously as you're taking or grabbing or seeing or understanding all sorts of other stuff. And so that only happens via as the two people press into each other over various subjects and various types of relationships. It's the only way that the transmission happens. So there's no it's pretty crazy when you see it. There's no advancement informational without interaction with the author, or without interaction with the person. It's wild. It's impossible. It's like fake. It's imaginary. I mean, literally, it's just imaginary, right? So it's like imaginary teachings. People could call that fake teachings or whatever, but it's like as correct and elaborate as something could be informationally without the personal interaction of the system. There's no actual like learning going on, because you need like two vantage points to create any sort of knowledge. So you have to be touching. So it's like like you can do that conversationally, email. So I can only teach to the degree that I'm able to press out, and I have no interest in anything more than that. So that's what, and then you also have to have time and energy for that relationship as well. And so yeah, so that can be phone conversations, video stuff, like kind of like at that coaching level. And that coaching level, like if you're already pretty engaged and stuff, that works pretty well. And then it's just a little bit of like steering or whatever. So that's like online, like what would really help if you've already got it going on, if you already have discipline, if you already have control of your health or whatever, and you just want to level up or break plateaus, like coaching works just fine from a distance. And then the degree to which you want to pick up more stuff, or you want to like radically transform what you're seeing and understanding, it's like in-person stuff like workshops, classes. So I'm on Maui, so it's a cool place to vacation to. So you can combine, like a vacation where you have time to do a relatively intense but short relationship. Like that's what people call like retreats. It's like just pressing in for, 8 hours a day for 3 days, stuff like that. That transmits a good level of vibe. It's okay. What's even cooler is long term, like if you're local or capable of being local, multiple classes a week for several months to a year, if intense, is like much more effective than a retreat. And then we get into cooler stuff, like I think can probably set you up with like work trades, other stuff where you can live nearby me or on my couch or something like that, working. So we're working together, which is a huge vibe transmission. Like there's a ridiculous amount of knowledge transmitted through shared labor. Like when you're working on the same project together, you literally become one organism. So when you do that, like you pick up like super deep stuff. So that's a super valuable opportunity that you can do with me or anybody else, right? Like I'm also in this video, I'm giving you ways, the only ways that you can actually grab or take or receive what you want from teachers or people that you're interested in. They have to be offering this. And if they're not offering that, if they're just giving you very limited interaction, if they don't know who you are, and if somebody's so big they don't know who you are, you're not getting what they're laying down. Not really, I don't think. You want to, like, it's the, like the true knowledge is only transmitted via family, right? And it's not to say that people can't have incredibly large families. Like that happens, and I intend to where it's almost impersonal, but like not. It's actually like you get as big as you can get, and no more. So it's a means and a way of staying embodied. While simultaneously having a much larger body, a body that's so large that most people only attain this size body via disassociation. So if you actually stay within your limits and you don't get fame is like when you're disassociated self, people start looking at that, right? Like just instead of getting famous, you get a large family, and then that there's positions or whatever within it. And by family, I just mean it's a relationship. The athlete is genuinely the coach's athlete, not so big that it's just I learned some tricks and I learned some stuff, and there's a place for that. I'm not saying there's not a place for that, I guess, but this is separate from that. And it's like I kind of want to say it's separate from that because it is, but it's going to be doing all of that stuff as well. So in terms of like, okay, so why do you want to vibe with, oh yeah, the other thing is like the landlord here is like old school, old world German builder, knows everything about everything in terms of crafting, maintaining, building, constructing solid, amazingly beautifully built objects. So if we can get him time and money and help, we could build like incredibly awesome like functional concept structures. And at the same time, like I'm learning, you're learning, so we're learning together. So that's another body. So you have the body of dedicated, like you're working together to create a structure together. You're learning together, so you're learning the same thing from a single source, right? So these are all different ways of forming body without it becoming disassociated. So this type of stuff where you come out and do that, like works really well if you've got serious trauma either from life circumstances, or like this sort of thing is very therapeutic for like psychedelic trauma, like or spiritual trauma, pre-lust. If you've gotten like so egoically big, it's just because you're there without family, you're there without body, so that makes it look prideful. So this sort of thing where it's like you're working together, you're living, like you're generating like income together. Like no, it gets like when you bond like that, right? Like if you're doing work trade and you're figuring out how to add and exchange value outside of just finances, but just like with your presence, with your skill, plus your finances. Yes, give me money. Definitely want money, but to the degree that that's gone around and you get big. So yeah, you have the working, the learning together, then the recreate, like go play in the water, like learn from nature at the same time, right? People do these in retreats together, and that's why they're so transformed. But if you have the opportunity to, and you're going after this instead of becoming hyper big or instead of becoming famous or whatever, it's like, how do you get this organic living system going? It's like, this is how you do it. So those long extended things you set up and doing studying, hosing together, whatever, just playing, and somehow that making that like that's the thing, right? That's what everyone's trying to do, and it's like to weave that into professionality and finances, yes, but also liberate a lot of it from finances, so that finances is just one arm of the thing rather than the entire pyramid. And then so like, okay, so what is the, like, okay, what are we transmitting? What's the vibe? It's like, well, A, it's this understanding of learning, the essentiality of it. And then B, it's there's a lot of things that I've noticed over the years from studying water. I'm Orthodox Christian, so in terms of like encompassing the totality of reality, people have seen that you need to love and accept everyone, and that gives you this subjectivity to where the dogmatics, the people that recognize there's one truth above all, the most fundamentalist of people, the people willing to die for that singular truth, like they have to be integrated into the plurality as well. So the inclusivity of inclusiveness truly actually does need to contain the exclusive. Otherwise, it's just as exclusive as exclusivity, and you see that the structure setup's kind of a yin-yang sort of thing. And so that way of thinking and that way of understanding makes it so that you can like truly interact. I don't know of a single belief system or a single viewpoint that I cannot interact with in a healthy way, holding to my exclusive, singular, objective truth. Like my truth is objective truth, and to also see that there is a shared objective truth, and to stay honest to that without compromise, without that harming, destroying, triggering, hurting any other type of belief system, including 100% oppositional ones, and without letting those belief systems change or harm me. So seeing stuff like that, I've developed a lot of techniques of like focusing and enhancing awareness, right? Which is everything from just jogging to like developed a hyper advanced technique that I call hosing. Jokingly, it's just long snorkeling. So there's a whole litany of exercisings and teachings and educations that uses hosing, which is like you're just breathing a couple of feet underwater, but that applies incredibly stimulating, challenging, and useful weight to the breathing muscles to the degree that it makes it very obvious that every muscle is a breathing muscle. And so I can only say that it acts like a microscope or like a telescope or a lever or a pulley, or kind of a simple machine, a simple force amplifier, but for breathing, or but for perception, or for anything fluidic in the body, right? Which is like really open-ended. So it's as open-ended as like a stick. It's like it's a lever, but the number of things that you can do with it is probably beyond my imagination. To a degree, it's probably like a stick. It's like there's a gazillion and one things to come up with it, but most people find the same like main useful ones, right? So I think there'll be kind of a universality in it, but also at the same time, it's like, whoa, how many different things can you do? What can you do with a wheel? It's kind of like that. But it is kind of like the wheel in terms of like, oh, once you develop vehicles, everyone can travel around at like 60 miles an hour. Whereas without the vehicle, the people were limited to their running technique and like cardiovascular fitness. Then with using that tool of like amplified introspection, it's like you can learn flow state stuff, like very much like spot and see like where your blind spots are that keep you out of flow state for like dancing, writing, singing, thinking. Just like very easy to troubleshoot that, because it's like I can just press into you fluidically, right? And then that pressure fills in everywhere that you're not fluidic. It fills in the cracks, and you can feel what that fluidness in that area feels like, and then fill it in like very quickly. So there's that. Like if you're into body work, like a lot of powerful techniques that body workers could do. I'm not currently a body worker, but like it's super useful in terms of like theory for your practice of like all the different modalities. For like scientific training, like if you want to learn how to do science but not be in contract with the basic fundamental substructure of reality, like symbolic reasoning and all that, like so this unification of science and spirituality, I've been doing that a long time. I don't know if there's like an end point between like the left and the right synthesis or the yin yang, but there's kind of like you do learn something about it as you age, so that's there. And just things like that. So if you're interested in any one of those things, so online coaching, I guess pen pals, we could email each other. Long term, like school, I've done schools before, like online schools with like Zoom hangouts and stuff. You could do that regularly for like cheap. And then in person. So in person, and if there's more and more people in person, then that changes. That's like retreats or ongoing classes or workshops and stuff like that. Just doing that whole cliche, right? Like that lifestyle. Like I'm on Maui in a yurt, so why not sort of try and do that cliche, right? There's a lot of those people out here, so this helps with surfing, running, athletics, all sports, sensitivity training method, injury healing, blah 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 blah, like everything, like it's everything that the body can do. It does it better when the body is fixed. So it's like not focusing on any of those things exactly, but the benefit of picking up sort of the vibe or the understanding of the consciousness that I've been exploring for the last decade or so is like, I think, tremendously helpful. And then everybody that I've worked with just reports back like tremendous acceleration in a very positive direction. And just sometimes if the relationship is like very deep, right? Not like personal relationships, family relationships, you can get, it's still, that stuff's like just deep work, right? it's unimaginably deep family relationships and whatnot. So it's not always um, been easy, right? But professionally, to like your work and your education relationships, if you really look at those, like those are like some of the most pure relationships in your life, because it's like you can keep the mess out of those areas, or the relationships at the dojo or the gym, or those at the, or like at the church, at the temple. Like those relationships are in some sense like most true, and they're held in the container of family, and the family is almost like the most messy, like holding the higher relationships. So you don't leave your family to ascend. You actually you go into it, so the family holds your ascent. um, okay, yeah, that's all. Like DM or whatever they call it these days, or send me a message, email. Just you can just send me money. That's the best relationship, in my opinion. I mean, other than come out and doing my work for me, like just doing all my labor for me, so that I can just be free to meditate on transcendental awareness. That's better than money. Freedom. Freedom only comes after I can't be distracted from the freedom that's already there. Freedom, freedom. Can I take myself away from my freedom? Oh, my freedom, my freedom. Can you take me away from her? No, you can't. Oh, my freedom, my freedom. Can you take away my freedom? Oh, my freedom, where'd you go? It always was, or it never is. Stop with the freedom, the freedom.